As always, there are exciting things happening here on the campus of Norfolk State University. And this week, we have MCJR Week with a star-studded lineup for all those who are communications and junkies. And not only that, but we also have the Attorney General, Jason Miyares, who will be on air with us live in the second half hour. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We're so glad to have you once again joining us here live as we broadcast always from the campus of the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, on in WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. And again, the weather is phenomenal here in Hampton Roads. As always, we've got our producer, Marvin Folks, also known as DJ Scandalous, who's on air every day, Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. And once again, we also like to give a major shout out to the Spartan Nation for all our supporters out there, because without you, we could not do what we do. You know, this has been as always, it's been an exciting week here in Hampton Roads, exciting week across the country. And we're going to get into some of that talk today. So we're going to talk in the first half hour about what's coming up this week here on the campus of Norfolk State University. Look, this is an exciting week for us on this campus. So for those of you who are, like I said, entertainment, communications, athletic junkies, this is the week for you to be here and to be tuned in, locked in to the university. In the second half hour, we will have our Attorney General, the State of Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares, who will be on the show live in the second half hour at 1:30. But now we have with us to talk about this phenomenal week that's coming up, MCJR Week. We have none other than our very own award-winning host of Coast Live and NSU professor, April Woodard. April, so glad that you're here to join us here on Stay the Water. Well, she's coming in just a moment, so as soon as she comes in, we'll get her in to talk about this phenomenal week. Ah, there she is. April Woodard, so glad to have you
here. Good Sunday morning. How are you?
Happy Sunday to you, too, as well. Well, look, I tell the people, we do this show live, so all things happen live, no matter what. So
no matter what. I'm sorry, for some reason I couldn't hear you. I think it was my earbuds. I'm not sure.
Not a problem. Look, technology is great when it works. Technology is not good when it doesn't. But listen, we just spent 2 years Zoom meeting it out. I'm zoomed out. I don't know about you. So
I actually, there's a level of Zoom that I actually enjoy. So I'm still digging Zoom. I kind of wanted some Zoom maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm in my element.
Well, it's here to stay. It's here to stay.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So that's a great thing about it. But look, we're so glad to have you here on the show. Of course, I enjoy seeing you every morning on your show here in the Hampton Roads area, Coast Live. And I enjoy listening to you every time there's a special programming and so forth. And you're just a joy and a treat to have here and a jewel for NSU.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so glad to be on the show. I'm going into my 6th year now, being on Coast Live as an Emmy-nominated host. I'm hoping I can win the Emmy
Absolutely.
One of these days. And, of course, to be on campus at the beautiful Norfolk State University and to be working in the Mass Comm department, it's really like being home. So I'm so excited. And to be working with you, too, Doctor, with the Center for African American Policy at Norfolk State University.
Absolutely. When you say it's good to be home, it's like coming back home. A lot of our listeners may not know, but your father was the long-term president, President Wilson, here at Norfolk State University.
Yeah, I'm that April Wilson, although my last name is Woodard, but I'll always be a Wilson in my heart. And it is wonderful. I mean, being on campus, I just have memories of my dad, fond memories every single day. I'm reminded, or I run into somebody who has a story to tell me. There's a gentleman from the business department who said that he was one of the last hires in the business department that's still there, and he comes by to see me almost weekly when I'm teaching class. So it's good just to see everybody and to be back and to be able to help the students, because that's what I'm really here for. That's my mission.
We're going to get into MCJR Week. You're one of the major catalysts of this week's programming, but you just mentioned something that I want to just talk about for a few seconds here. And you said, it's about the students.
Right.
People go into higher education not to get rich. We go into education, period, not to get rich, but we go into education because it's a calling. And it's a calling to impart what we know into the next generation so that they can do greater. And the reward for me is to see those that leave your class, leave your mentorship, they come back and say, thank you. And you see the great things that they're doing.
Yeah, and, I didn't really get that. I mean, I knew, that my dad and my mom were both educators, lifelong educators, and I knew that people would always call my dad and say, thank you for this, and you gave me a scholarship when I was getting ready to not be able to finish school, but it just really didn't have a huge meaning to me until I became an educator myself. And, of course, I spent time at Hampton University, and then I began to really see the impact that you can have on someone's life. And it really is a ministry because, you're working, you're not making a whole bunch of money, and but you're sometimes, students come into the room and say, hey, will you do a prayer with me? And I'm like, okay, are you sure? Okay, well, yeah, let's pray. If we need that, if that's what you need, if you need to study, if you need to work it out, if you, have to just kind of say things out loud and vent, I'm here for that, to mentor them, but then also to prepare them for the real world, because the industry that I'm in is very competitive and it's very mean and it's not very nice. And I try to sugarcoat stuff for them, but I'm also like, look, I'm being nice to you, but they're not going to be nice to you when you get into this field. You can have all kinds of laws and all kinds of this is what we do for diversity and et cetera, but underlying problems still exist in the media business, especially for African Americans. And so, I'm here to remind them of who they are. And, we love you and we treat you well and we think you are, kings and queens and all that's good. But when you get in the real world, they're not going to be looking at you as a king and a queen. You're going to have to look at yourself as that queen and king and remind yourself of your legacy, because they'll have you believe that you're something else that you're not.
You know what? Truer words have never been spoken, because, in this business, like you said, it's cutthroat, from the moment you step in to the moment that you're out. And, one thing that we saw from the Oscars, of course, coined, the slap, heard around the world and seen around the world, billions of times, by the way, which is amazing because, we're in America, but you got people from Australia that's circulating and seeing what we're doing almost in real time because of social media. But, one thing that was really left out of the Academy Awards, the Oscars, is that this was a black production. I mean,
yeah, right.
We had black producers of the show, the set design, the music, the score, the whole nine, the host, and so forth. This was a major moment for African Americans in movies and Academy Awards, and this was a big night. Of course, it was overshadowed, by what took place. But to your point, for years we've been advocating more positive representation, more inclusion, more opportunities, seats at the table, and finally, it's come in this one moment. But a lot of more moments to come, hopefully.
Yes, a lot of more moments to come. And we are still, of course, on TV and within the water cooler still talking about what happened. But I just, and I haven't even gotten to the point where I have dealt with the race issue yet and the impact it has on African Americans and, how people view us and all that, things that people are saying. But, what I really focus on right now is that there are some underlying issues that need to be dealt with. With Will Smith, there are some underlying issues. And then you have to think about the trauma that Chris Rock has talked about publicly about dealing with trauma and dealing with anxiety. And so this could have been a trigger for him. And, people are going over there consoling Will, who did the slap. I'm like, who's looking out for Chris Rock? So, I mean, I just think there's so many more things to look at beyond the slap, and that's what we want to talk about. But then also with Will Packard, and this being a historic moment for him, with Questlove winning the award for documentary. I've been watching that documentary, too. And, you know, this incredible event that happened in Harlem that nobody really even knows about. If you weren't born during that time, everybody wants to talk about, other festivals that were historic at the time. But this was a turning point in culture, that Questlove documentary, and I suggest everybody go out and see it. So, you know, we're going to have to get beyond this. I mean, the Academy is dealing with it the way that they see fit. And, you know, publicists are out making comments. You know, I teach PR, too, so,
right.
You know, I have criticisms. I'm using this as a case study for my students on how to handle their clients, so and how not to handle their clients.
There you go. And look, these are the type of situations where they will earn their money.
Oh, my gosh. Woo. You got some crisis communications problems to deal with now, because they're saying that, you know, they have halted some of his movies from going in production. I'm talking about Will Smith.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are consequences to every action.
Absolutely. Every action, every inaction. But such is life. But one of the great things about life in America is that, you know, second chances. So what would that second chance be? But what I want to do now, I want to pivot, because that was a great segue into, you know, media, mass communications, and, you know, how we're directing our students to go out into the world and do great things. So what we have here in the Department of Mass Communication and Journalism is a week that's been going on for years, and is where it's a convergence of media professionals across the board that come together and really talk about and impart knowledge, and also kind of like a homecoming for a lot of people. And it's called MCJR Week. That's Mass Communication and Journalism Week. And April, like I said, you're one of the major catalysts for this particular week this year. Tell us a little bit about the theme and what's going on.
Yeah, our theme this year is called Vision Cast 2022, the fusion of legacy and futurism. So I wanted to, you know, combine the legacy journalists, the legacy groups. We have, you know, Michelle G., who is from a legendary legacy magazine, Ebony Magazine and Jet. We grew up with it. Our parents grew up with it. It was the way we found out what was going on with black folks. And then my brother wanted to look at the centerfold for Jet Magazine to see, you know, who was the cute woman in the bathing suit back in the day. So everybody knows Jet and Ebony. And so the CEO of Jet and Ebony is coming to impart her pivot and how her life has changed, because she has gone through she didn't graduate until she was 31, so a lot of our students at Norfolk State can identify with that, having life and then coming back and getting that degree. And then she also went through a journey where she lost a high-profile job and had to, you know, come back and figure out how she was going to pivot to then become the CEO of a major magazine like Ebony, a major brand like Ebony and Jet. And then the other highlight is one of the most polarizing or prolific or whatever word you want to use to describe Charlemagne the God. And he is going to be here on Thursday at 3:30 at the Wilder Center. It's open to the public. Come on out, hear what he has to say. I am a friend of Charlemagne, and so I get to ask some questions that don't necessarily hit the list, because I'm like, dude, are you going to answer the question or not?
Right.
So if you want to talk about, he has an imprint, so he's having a huge impact on history, really, because, you know, his books will be there for a lifetime. And the books that he is allowing other people to do through his imprint, through Simon & Schuster, is a great opportunity for us to continue to have our stories be written down and people to know our stories. He's on the radio. Yeah, he's on The Breakfast Club, but he also has a TV show. He also has a podcast. So if anybody knows, and he was fired 3 times and had to move back with his mama in South Carolina. So if anybody can talk about pivot, it is definitely Charlemagne the God. And so for those true news heads, we got something for them, too. So we have news directors and general managers that are coming from BEC, the local station, and my boss at WTKR, Adam Chase, is coming. We have Kim Greenwich coming from the Richmond area, who are going to talk about how the business has changed, how media has changed since COVID, and how students can get their foot into the door. John Murray, he is the new executive producer of The Sherry Show. Did you know he went to Norfolk State? A lot of people don't know that. He is a gossip columnist. He is a TV personality. He's been on The View. He's been everywhere. And now he's going to be coming in, and we're going to have a fireside chat with him.
Oh, my gosh. This is, look, look, this is blowing my mind. You know, I'm trying to figure out, like, in my work day, can I get to this? Can I get to that? I need to get an hour out of the office and get over here to see this. You know, because you talk about media and how it's changed. It's changed so much to where, you know, you could tell your story.
Right. And you don't have to wait for somebody to give you the green light to tell your story. And what you're finding, too, is some of these people that are having an opportunity to tell their story, they are now getting, like, awards and accolades, and they're becoming trendsetters because now people want to tell the story just like they're telling the story. Look at the impact of TikTok and look at the impact of Instagram. Now that you see the advertising agencies, you know, shooting it the same way to make it look like it's a TikTok for their commercials. So, you know, young people are having such a huge impact on media. Media better get the note and better recognize and better keep moving and not just say that these people are influencers and they don't know what they're doing, but we can provide some guidance for them so that they know, you know, how to really capitalize off of their talents and their gifts. And I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm trying to get everything in. I got Alveda Yule, who's coming in. Everybody knows Alveda. She's legendary anchor of Wavy TV10, but now she is an agent with HD Rep. So if you're trying to get your foot in the door and get a job in TV, she's one to know. Anisha Dubois is a fashion PR director, voiceover actor, creative director, graduate of Norfolk State from 2006. Hot 91 is doing a master meetup where you can practice your skills on your elevator pitch. We're calling it Speed Interview Meets Shark Tank. And so students will have an opportunity to pitch their ideas to different people or even pitch their brand. If it's brand new, you can do that too and win a $100 gift card. Don't everybody need some gas? And also get live on the radio at Hot 91.
There you go. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. This week we have with us April Woodard, award-winning host of Coast Live and NSU professor, coming home to be here with us for MCJR Week, where we bring media professionals from all over the country to come here on the campus of Norfolk State University to impart knowledge, wisdom, and to help guide the next generation. April, when we talk about utilizing social media to become, you know, the next ... You know, you know, there's this term that I wasn't familiar with. Of course, my sons are. It's called Instagram stars, right? You know, you see a description of a person that is, oh, this person is an entrepreneur and a model and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, where? They're like, oh, on Instagram.
Right.
You know, but, you know, this is a new way of telling your story, getting out there and creating your own narrative. And what this week will do is I think it will help to shape that and help them become not just an instant star, but more so a long-lasting influence.
And that's the key, because once your influence is over, because maybe you're doing beauty products or maybe you're doing hair products and you decide to change your hair, or maybe you're doing fashion and you know, maybe you're 40 and you get tired of it. I don't know. But how will you then pivot to the next step in your career? Because there are different layers. I mean, there are things that you can do, you know, when you're 18 and 19 and 20, you're traveling all over the world. You may not have kids. You don't have responsibilities, those types of things. And then you decide to buy a house. Well, things change a little bit because you got to make sure you pay that mortgage. And so, you know, are you going to still be able to pay for that if it's not a regular, you know, commission? If you know, if you have a slow month or people aren't watching or there's something new that comes out. So we're providing everybody with that, and you can go to nsu.edu/MCJR/MCJR-week. I know that's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. You can also just Google NSU MCJR and it'll come up. Yeah,
absolutely. Or go to our website, nsu.edu, and put in MCJR Week. Or it's really right there on the website. Scrolling across one of the main stories.
I'll go to my Instagram at @1AprilWoodard because I'm posting about it all week long. So there you go.
There you go. And hopefully you mentioned it a little bit on Coast Live. Give a little plug if possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been gearing up. In fact, we have John Murray, who is going to be on our show on Tuesday before he comes over to Norfolk State, and we also are going to be doing an interview with B.K. Fulton, who is Solidify, who is a producer of theater and a producer of movies. And so we're going to get a one-on-one interview with him as well that's going to run during our show.
And you know what? That's one smooth brother, too.
He is. He knows he is, though. He knows he's smooth. He knows he's smooth.
Absolutely.
I love BK.
Look, that's my guy. I love him to death because he and his wife are such great examples of what black professionals can be and do.
Absolutely.
You know, he has an incredible story. We're going to have him on. He's one of our board of visitor members here at Norfolk State University as well. And we're going to have him on the show soon as well to talk about his story. But we've got a full week here and we have about 5 more minutes. I just want to go through a couple of these days here. You mentioned quite a few individuals who are coming, but on Monday, April 4th, this is tomorrow, it's our media career skills session. And the theme is, are you ready for the world? And of course, for you and I, we remember that group, Ready for the World, right?
Ready for the world. See, people don't know what that means. That's a double entendre.
Absolutely. When I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to hit that on the way home. Ready for it. Okay. But again, needing help polishing your resume, you've got, as you mentioned, our 2006 MCJR graduate, Anisha DuBois, who is a fashion PR director, voiceover actor, and all-around creative. So she'll be here with us. Mahogany Walden, Megan.
My former intern, Mahogany. Yes, doing great things.
Look, Megan Jones. Who's a digital content manager and corporate associate counsel out of Washington, D.C. Jamila Patterson, senior technology specialist of Urban Institute in D.C. And our very own Stan Donaldson, who's the director of media relations for the university. And Darnell Mayberry, as you mentioned, senior writer of The Athletic, being moderated by Dr. Kathy Jackson. Who's a longtime professor here and in the mass communication journalism, who's going to be here with us. And then we've got the kickoff that night from 5 to 6:30 there. So tell us about the kickoff.
Well, the kickoff is going to be, we're going to have some music, we're going to have some food, and really it's an opportunity for the new to meet the legendary, right? So, everybody's going to be coming together. We're going to have an opportunity to be an informal. But look, I tell my students, once you're on, you are always on. So even if it's informal, have your cards ready, have your digital resume ready, be ready with your elevator pitch because you never know who's going to show up. You never know who you're going to meet. So it really is an opportunity for everybody to come out and relax and, have that informal introduction.
Absolutely. I love that. And then on Tuesday at 11 o'clock, we've got Black Flicks with B.K. Fulton. You mentioned, we talked about him earlier, chairman and founding chairman and CEO of Solidify Productions, who's got some recent projects. He has a Broadway play, Thoughts of a Colored Man, which is running on Broadway right now. And he also has a project called A Day to Die, starring Bruce Willis. And he is the top of the story. Bruce Willis, he just announced that he's retiring. So that's something that we definitely will ask BK about. Absolutely. And again, you just never know when your last day is. And that was pretty shocking. So Bruce Willis, a phenomenal career, has done a lot of great things. And again, we wish him the best. And then on Wednesday, you mentioned our MCJR Awards luncheon special guest, Michelle G., CEO of Ebony and Jet. Invitation only. Hopefully my invitation is in the mail. We'll check and see. And
I believe it is in the email, yes.
Absolutely. And then you got what's called the Pivot Session. Now, this is Alvita Ewell, as you mentioned, Toya Sosa, who's also an NSU graduate.
Right.
And she is the diversity officer at Riverside Health System. You got Nakia McLean, CEO of Tanate Nicole Marketing Public Relations. And also, again, you have Anisha DuBois and our very own. You will be the moderator of that particular session. So that is awesome. That is phenomenal. And then on Thursday, I guess this is the big day for everybody. It's a big day because we got a conversation with Charlemagne the God at the Wilder Center. So look, that's enough said on that. Just be there or be square. That's at 3:30 to 5:30. Our very own April Woodard will, again, award-winning host, will be moderating that session. And then we've got our alumni mixer So the alumni mixture is later that night. So again, like you said, a great time. This is not just an equipping, but it's a homecoming for a lot of our great people here. And then finally, we've got the balling, media and sports. So we didn't talk about sports, but talk about the sports aspect in media for a second.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk to Leon Carter, who's with the Athletics. So he's got the entire sports covered. And Carl Francis, Director of Communications at NFLPA, one of my good friends who does so much in our community as well.
Absolutely.
And, the NFL is a hot topic right now, so we'll be talking about what's going on with them. Whether it goes from people not being, selected as quarterbacks or people not being selected as coaches or people, getting out of their trade deals. I'm not mentioning any names. And then we have Maya Chaka, who is a grad of Norfolk State University. And, of course, she is the first African-American woman NFL referee. And it's moderated by one of my students, Sierra Jones, who is an athlete as well as a mass communications major.
Again, balling, media, and sports. And that, I think that's enough, right?
Well, we forgot Zeus. I do want you to know that we're doing Black Flicks with Zeus, and he's going to talk about storytelling. So Zeus is one of those young men who graduated from Norfolk State University, was an Oscar-winning in an Oscar-winning movie, and he does everything on YouTube. He writes for BuzzFeed. He does voiceovers. He is just mega talented, and he's right here in the Hampton Roads area. He goes back and forth to L.A., but he's doing stuff here. Wow. And so you definitely want to spend time with him on Thursday before we go see Charlemagne. And I think there was somebody else. We want to, make sure we come out and see the local news directors, because if you're looking for a job, I know somebody told me they were hiring somebody. So if you're looking for an opportunity to get in with the boss, to get the email for the boss man, not just, apply online, because sometimes your application can't get through. That's what you want to do. And then, of course, that interview with John Murray, who is the executive producer of Sherry, the Sherry Show, which is replacing Wendy Williams. So, I have some questions for him as well. Absolutely.
And listen, I saw the News Junkie piece, and the part that you were mentioning, Black Fix with Zeus, that's at 11 o'clock before the Charlemagne the God segment at 3:30. But right. Again, if you, like you said, if you're a news junkie, and I am, I keyed in on that one. So I was like, I've definitely got to get there to hear that. So, and also not just that, but we got the Hot 91 Master Meetup. It's a speed interview, like you said, with Shark Tank, Meet Shark Tank. So that's what our very own station manager, Maynard Scales, general manager here at Hot 91, and Ambi Renee of 103 Jam. So a lot of.
And she's a graduate too.
Oh man.
Look at that. Yep.
Again, I talk about the Spartan Nation being one of the most engaged and talented alumni, HBCU alumni across the world, but this really helps to solidify even more so and bolster that statement. So, again, this is good stuff. So, April, we got one more minute here, but I want our listeners to know, if they can't attend, is there any way for them to view the sessions? Will it be streamed across our social media for the university?
It is not going to be streamed, but it will be recorded, and so we'll probably air it at another time or put it on YouTube. But we really wanted people to come out, and people are anxious to get out because, people are tired of being tied up. And we're going to be, wearing our masks and doing everything to protect ourselves and social distancing. But Absolutely. We do encourage you to come out. It's a great opportunity to meet people, to, sometimes being on social media, you don't even know what the people look like when they're in real life. So this is an opportunity for you to really engage one-on-one with individuals.
Absolutely. Once again, this is April Woodard, award-winning host of Coast Live, NSU professor, and she's back home here where she literally grew up on campus with her father, President Wilson, who was a longtime president of the university, and we loved him dearly in the entire family. April, thank you so much for being with us here on State of Water, and we're looking forward to the great things that you're doing MCJR Week and even after that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who has helped me, my chairman, MCJR, Linda Barrett, also, and to my dean, Cassandra Alexander Newby, because I couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. Listen, everything that we do here is teamwork. I mean, there's nothing that we do on campus you can do by yourself. You got to collaborate with everybody across the board. And this week is a perfect example of that type of collaboration. So, again, we're really excited to have it. And I'm going to get some rest this week because it's going to be tonight. It's going to be a long week for us. So, but I'm happy to be a part of it. So, April, thanks again, and we'll see you on tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, scandalous once again. I mean, that shows us we got a lot of great things going on here at the Norfolk State University. We've got graduates who are coming in. These are not all of our graduates, who are great individuals who are doing phenomenal things across the nation, across the country. But here, clearly, this just shows we got great stuff going on. But this is Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We'll be back for our second half hour where we engage the Attorney General of Virginia, Attorney General Jason Miyares. We'll be back in just a moment.
Program support sponsored in part by the Virginia African American Cultural Center.
The Virginia African American Cultural Center continues its exciting virtual 6-part artist masterpiece series featuring Beck G, April 7th at 7 p.m. Beck G is the radio host for the Morning After Show. Native of Norfolk, Beck G was the lead singer of Elegant Harmony, winner of Teddy Riley's first talent show in Virginia for BET. This event features a moderated interview discussion by artist and producer Philip Jones, followed by questions and answers. This event is free, but you must register online at vaaccvb.org. Get a chance to win a bonus prize just by watching. Join the Virginia African American Cultural Center for a special night with Beck G, April 7th at 7 p.m. For more information, vaaccvb.org. Program support sponsored in part by the Chartway Arena.
We've been through a crazy time with this pandemic, but thank God we made it through.
Now come join the celebration at Festival of Praise. It's Fred Hammond with Heza Kyle Walker. Every praise. Plus Israel Holton. April 29th at the Chartway Arena. A night to thank God for all he's done at the 2022 Festival of Praise. Tickets at whynottix.com.
Welcome back to Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We want to thank you all for joining us, as you do every Sunday here live on the campus of the Norfolk State University as we broadcast from WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. Look, I don't know about you and where you are because people stream this show across the world. You can stream it at wnsbonline.org. And, it is an absolutely gorgeous day here in Hampton Roads. And that's one of the great things about this area that we love. Just so many different seasons. And I'm telling you, when the spring season hits, it's a little pollen out there. It's wreaking havoc on some of our allergies, but it'll clear up very soon. But again, outside is open. We're opening back up. Everybody's getting back open, staying safe, but still enjoying themselves. So in the first half hour, again, we had our very own award-winning host of Coast Live and NSU Professor April Woodard to talk about MCJR Week, which is this week coming up. Come on out to the campus, be involved in those events. You can go to nsu.edu, put in MCJR Week 2022, and take a look at the various events that we have. And if you're excited about what's going on, come on out. If you can't catch it, it will be recorded and posted at a later date. But as we are true to this show, bringing movers, shakers, policymakers to you to discuss issues important to the community, today is no exception to that. We have with us our very own newly elected Attorney General, Jason Miyares, who's joining us here in the second half hour of the show to talk about what's going on in the Attorney General's office, his agenda, and what we can expect. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us here on State of Water.
It is great to be with you. It is so true. Today is just a gorgeous day. I grew up in Hampton Roads, and this is one of those spring days where you feel winter is finally going away, spring and warmer weather. And so I hope your listeners are in their car with the window down, enjoying the sunshine or out and about, because this is a day that just demands to be soaking up the sun, as they say. And it's just great to be with you.
Look, absolutely. And hopefully taking your allergy medication because, like I said...
Right. Yeah, a lot of pollen out there indeed. Yep.
Just
Yes,
a little.
indeed.
I can tell you, my local car wash has gotten a lot of money from me the past couple of
I know.
But look, thank God for him, because if not, I'll be out there washing it myself. So
Well, it's what brings the beautiful flowers out. And, yeah, I have a honey-do list, and one of it I'm supposed to be washing my my wife's car later today. So that's what I'll be doing. But, man, it just makes everything beautiful and just we're really blessed. Indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, look, you and I are no stranger. We've had a chance to engage on several occasions since you've been elected as our new Attorney General. You know, you've had a chance to come on campus and view the campus as well as our guest. So I'll just ask the question. How's it going?
It's been great. It's been great. I love being on campus. You know, the Behold the Green and Gold. It's just been impressive to see some of the newer buildings since the last time I was on campus. And really, as Norfolk State's just heading so much in the right direction, great leadership, great momentum, and just real excited. You know, wish the NCAA tournament went a little bit better, but it's great to be with you all. The new job is great. I mean, the Attorney General's office is a fascinating combination of law, policy, and politics. But it is a large office with about 21 different sections within the Attorney General's office. Mm-hmm. And so getting to know the different individuals there, just been some great men and women that I have gotten to know that work there, just fantastic. And so we have our main office is in Richmond, and so I'm mainly up there during the week. We have regional offices in Fairfax, Abingdon, and Roanoke. I was shocked to find out we did not. We used to have a Hampton Roads office. That it had closed down, so that was a commitment for me to reopen it.
Yes.
So we're hoping to reopen. You know, they're still working out the state budget. We're hoping to reopen a Hampton Roads office by this summer to make sure the 757. You know, this is the second largest metropolitan area in the entire Commonwealth, and
Absolutely.
I was just incredulous when I heard we didn't have a regional office in this region. So we're going to be reopening one here. Real excited about that, and you know, we're excited to move forward, be the people's Attorney General, and you know, we have about every division you can imagine, from consumer protection to civil rights to major crimes to criminal appeals, to just representing essentially almost every single state agency if they need legal advice. So it has been a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a great joy to get to know and meet the people, and candidly just get around the state and get around every corner of Virginia and just meet everyday Virginians. And that's just been a lot of fun and a lot of joy as well. Absolutely.
So no regional office in this area. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was shocked to find that out as well. I'm excited to reopen it. I know that both the Senate and the House budget have provisions for it. So we're getting an office reopened, and that's one thing that I've been big on. I've talked to the governor as well. Kind of get away from the mindset that everything has to be done out of Richmond. I like the idea of being as available and as accessible as possible to folks, and so I think some of that means not having everybody just centered in Richmond. Get out in your community, know what the challenges are. As you know, the challenges facing Hampton Roads is going to be different than the challenges out in Southwest Virginia and some of the challenges facing in Northern Virginia. And it's a big Commonwealth. Let's recognize it, but let's make sure that we get away from a mindset that all decisions and everything has to be made in Richmond. Sometimes the government that governs best is the government closest to the people. And I think that works well. And so I love to get out, love to get on college campuses. I spoke at Virginia State. Love touring Norfolk State. I love to speak to college groups and college students. I think it's just a refreshing and invigorating to hear from young people and what their dreams and aspirations and what they're seeing and hearing. So I hope to be able to come on campus and actually meet with students. That would be a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun so far. And it'd be great to come back to campus.
Absolutely. And look, we've got an earmark. You know, of course, we're involved in session. You're involved in it. So as soon as, matter of fact, special session starts tomorrow. So we've got to wait till all that's done. But don't worry, you're coming back on campus. So
for all your college students, I mean, I worked my way through college. I went to JMU, and one of the big things is I got into my office have found out that the Attorney General's office is required by law to statutorily try to collect on default on student loans, and they were collecting 30% of the I was just shocked at that. I thought that was just outrageous fee. So we have cut that in half to 15%. I'm still paying off my student loans. I'm not ashamed to say that. It was a great investment. I obviously don't begrudge it, but trying to make sure that we provide some student loan relief. That's always been a big issue for me. When I was in the legislature, when I represented Virginia Beach in the General Assembly, that was a big issue for me, is finding a way to make college more affordable for kids, because I worked my way through school, and I knew I learned a lot from it. I mean, I would not want to trade my college experiences. I think working my way through college made me a better student and made me more focused. But making sure that college debt's more affordable, I think, is a key part of what I want to do as Attorney General.
Absolutely. You mentioned, we've heard your story about, why, you ran for Attorney General. Tell us, a lot of people don't know what the Attorney General office does. I mean, we see the governor all the time, right? We see the governor, we see the lieutenant governor more so. I think probably the second most recognizable figure is lieutenant governor in our Commonwealth. But the Attorney General, in my opinion, this is just me, we're both lawyers. I'm a little biased here maybe, but to me, it's the most influential position, I think, statewide in our Commonwealth, but tell our listeners, what does the Attorney General's office actually do? Well, I mean,
your listeners shouldn't feel bad, because my own daughter asked me, okay, Daddy, what exactly do you do? So I'm the lawyer for the Commonwealth, and I said, as I noted, I have 21 different sections that report to me. So being a lawyer for the Commonwealth means on so many different fronts. So there's a child support enforcement division. So my office handles for those cases that are so egregious that they get involved in those cases. There's a major crime unit looking at violent crime. It handles every single criminal appeal in the state on behalf of the Commonwealth. If the governor, every single agency, every single department, so from the VDOT, from the Department of Transportation, every single state agency, when they need legal advice, when they need an attorney to advise them, and this is what either Virginia law is or federal law, it's somebody from my office that actually is their attorney. All of the university councils as well that serve on every single one of our wonderful colleges and universities here in Virginia report to us and report up to my chief deputy that's in charge of health and education. Consumer affairs is a big issue. We just settled the largest settlement on behalf of Virginia against pharmaceutical companies. We're going to get about $500 million that's going to come to Virginia for the opioids and their use, where they were really pushing helping to push the scourge of opioid addiction. So you really are a protector of the Commonwealth. You're the lawyer for the Commonwealth. So, your consumer protection is a huge part. I just joined a host of other attorney generals from both sides of the political aisle to send notice to TikTok saying that they have next to no parental controls. Yeah. And parents are complaining about that as well. And I have children as well that are addicted. The internet's scary. It's both an amazing tool for communicating and connecting with our friends, but there's a lot of dark forces out there. There's a lot of bad actors that try to communicate to underage kids, particularly underage girls, and parents want to have control. So we, as collectively in a bipartisan fashion, attorney generals have banded together to put them on notice, saying, listen, you can't be operating in this manner. Parents are begging for some level of control right now, and you're ignoring their pleas or putting you on notice. And so consumer protection is a big part of what we do. Some of it, candidly, is boring when you're dealing with, VDOT wants to sell off some state land that they're no longer using, and we're the lawyer that helps with that transaction. So some of it's exciting. Some of it's maybe not as exciting for your audience, but if the Commonwealth of Virginia, something they're doing is touching on the law, our office is involved in that on some level. And so it's a duty that I take very, very seriously. We're really blessed with some great people that work there. If anybody that you're listening my staff would not be happy if I was not able to get this plug in, if you just indulge me. If you're a junior or senior and you have an interest in maybe go to law school, or you're just an interest in public policy, we're starting this year the Oliver Hill Fellowship in Law and Public Policy. And it is a fellowship that we're going to have both in the summer and in the fall that students that may have an interest. And really it's a garnish real interest from our HBCUs or students that aren't 100% certain and maybe shadowing. They can both intern, they'll be in different divisions if they have an interest in the Office of Civil Rights or Consumer Affairs or Major Crimes. And then they'll really get to hear some fantastic top of the, and I think the governor as well, just remarks from, I guess, leaders, people that I both admire. And we're really going to aim for that. And we are taking applications, people that are interested. They go to oag.state.va.us for our Oliver Hill Fellowship. And if you're a current law student, if you know somebody who's also going to be going off to law school in the fall and they have an interest next year, they can go ahead and drop in their line that they're interested for summer of 23 or in the fall. So I think it's a great opportunity. We're really trying to structure it right now, but we're really excited about it. I find law to be a great profession. I think it's something that'd be a great force of good, and encourage other people who may have an interest to maybe take a look at it.
Absolutely. This is Say the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. You're listening to us live here on the campus of Norfolk State University at WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. Joining us here in the second half hour is our very own Attorney General, Jason Miyares, who's talking with us about his role here as our attorney for the Commonwealth, some initiatives that he's instituted, more specifically an internship policy and law for students interested in being an attorney. You mentioned not just this initiative, but there's a lot of other things that you've kind of came in and you shook the tree, because we had a attorney general who was in office for a couple of terms, which, by the way, you can run for attorney general consecutive terms, but you can't run for governor consecutive terms here in the Commonwealth. So you can really be attorney general as long as the people of the Commonwealth continues to vote you in, and as long as you like to run. But, you came in and you've done a few things, such as you withdrew from the Equal Rights Amendment lawsuit. You replaced some people shook up staff in AG's office and removed some individuals from the J6 investigation and so forth. But there are a lot of other things on your plate within your office that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about your agenda for the Commonwealth and why some of these things that you moved toward doing when you came into office.
Well, listen, there's always a natural transition whenever there is new leadership in almost any executive agency. That's both the same in business, that's the same in sports, that's the same in government. And so that's not unusual. In fact, in our transition period, we actually, my transition team actually brought in a smaller number of new folks than the previous gentleman who was in this position. I came in and what I wanted to do is always bring a fresh set of eyes for what we're looking at. If there's anything that's big for me, if there's a theme, if there's something that I've told my people in my office, is that I'm a passionate believer in the dignity of the individual, to respect them. If you know my family story, my mother fled Cuba, literally homeless and penniless. My uncle got, arrested in the middle of the night by Castro's secret police and suffered the humiliation of a mock execution. And so when you see the power of the state intervening and impacting someone's life like that can scar them for decades. But also being a passionate believer in, as I told my staff, recognize that the question I've asked every single, all my section chiefs and my deputies, do you have every tool you need to be able to do your job with excellence? Because that's the standard that we want. Because your salary is being paid by the hardworking folks who get up at 5 a.m. and work at the Newport News shipyard or the young police officer who's having to get up in the morning and work till 2 or 3, or the EMT working in an ambulance, or public school teachers. They're paying your salary, and be mindful of that. The idea of servant leadership, you're there to serve and not be served. That is the mindset that I want from the people, and that means being mindful. I came from a home, like, for example, Dominion is doing a fantastic offshore wind farm, and I think that's a great idea. But the one thing I'm very big on Dominion Energy is that it's not just paid for on the back of the ratepayers. And so we put them on notice that it was supposed to be $7.8 billion. It's already risen the cost to $9.8 billion. We're putting them on notice right now, and that's one of our roles with what we represent in the State Corporation Commission, which regulates all these huge utilities, is we put them on notice. Listen, you are not going to be simply going to do a project, and we support the project, but you can't simply say, we're going to pass this on to consumers.
Right.
That is not fair to them, because I remember, being from a family that struggled financially in a broken home where, rising energy costs could just be devastating on a family. It can really impact everything, and impact, the schools, your ability to, whether or not you go on a family vacation, can be impacted on what's happening. And obviously we're seeing the gas prices and then the energy prices. And so when I talk about that dignity of the individual, recognize that part of my faith is Imago Dei. Each one of us is made in the image of God. Every single person, every person listening to this show has intrinsic value. And understanding that is something that makes, I think, our country such an amazing country, is recognize that e pluribus unum is one of our national mottos, out of many, one, right?
Absolutely.
We all come from so many different backgrounds and experiences, but we're one nation, and recognize that our diversity and our individuality is part of what makes us so amazing. As we recognize the dignity of the individual, I want you to be able to flourish. I want every individual to feel like they can achieve your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, and there are no barriers. And if there are barriers, how do we knock down those barriers? And I think that's an important aspect of that aspirational aspect of what I've tried to bring in my career as a public servant, in my career as well as Attorney General. And some of that could be, hey, what are the regulatory burdens? You have an idea. You want to start a small business. Do we have regulations right now in Virginia that are making it harder for you to chase that dream, to chart that small business, that entrepreneurial mindset that is, the joke is the business of America is business, right? I want to knock down those barriers so you can achieve those dreams, because, hey, guess what? 2/3 of all new jobs created in America are created by small businesses, not the Amazons, right? Not the big corporations. There's small businesses where folks have an idea for a restaurant or a retail shop. Pick whatever it is. Those are the genesis. That's the genius of what I think the very, very best of America can be, is allowing people to go chase their dreams with dignity, self-worth. And that's kind of my theme I want to do as Attorney General as well. Is I want to knock down barriers so people can go out and chase their dreams. Because let's think about this. For every single person that's listening, and maybe it's my perspective as a child of an immigrant, but think about this. There are literally, right now, as you and I are talking, there are millions and millions and millions of people that would do everything in their power, right? They would crawl over broken glass. They'd cling to the side of an airplane to be seated exactly where you're seated right now. That's to be here. And Lord knows we have a lot of problems in this country. I acknowledge that. But boy, do we also have a lot of opportunity. So I want you to be able to chase your dream. I want every child to be able to look out that window and chase their dreams and their aspirations and not feel like there's a barrier holding them back. And so that's a lot of what we want to do. That's always been kind of my mindset.
Absolutely.
As a public servant, and what I want to bring as Attorney General.
You and I, we've talked, and that's where you and I have synergy and agree wholeheartedly. I talk about America. I mean, this is, in this day and time, the greatest country in the world. Right?
Yeah.
It's the only place you can come with nothing and end up having everything that your dreams desire. You're going to have to go through some barriers, right? There's some people that's not going to like you. Some people that's going to discriminate against you. Some people that try to undermine you. But at the same time, you've got a chance. You've got a chance under the law. And unfortunately, we see things happening right now in Europe where, that's we don't see that happening here.
Scary. it's really scary what you see happening over there. And one of my favorite, Margaret Thatcher said the nations of Europe emerged out of history, but America is the only country to emerge out of a philosophy, right? Or G.K. Cheshire said America is the only nation to be founded on a creed.
Yes.
And I think the American that best encapsulated what is that creed is Dr. King on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, where he stood there and he said he was there to collect a promissory note. That those principles laid out of inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He referred to that as the promissory note that was made to every American, past, present, and future, and he was there to collect. And that's an amazing thing if you think about it. And it means that every generation is tasked with preserving the promissory note and making sure it's available. And that does not mean that we don't obviously acknowledge where we have fallen far, far short. And we have some incredibly horrific chapters in our nation. Acknowledge it and learn from it so you never go through that again. But on the flip side, I think we can all acknowledge, and it really encapsulated, if you turn on, and you can go on YouTube right now and turn on the opening ceremony of the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, and with the parade of nation, where 119 nations entered into the Olympic Stadium, and the only one, when the athletes entered in, that looked like everybody was the American delegation. Everyone, Finland, Japan, pick your country, but there's only one where they walked in, and it looked like the globe. And that's amazing. We should celebrate that. We should step back and say, that is amazing. It's amazing testimony that a lot of blood and treasure has been spent trying to build that more perfect union that we're striving to, and recognize where we have fallen in our original sins, but also recognize, wow, we have also come a long, long way. And somebody said America is not so much as a place as an idea. It's a grand idea. It's an amazing idea. It's a precious idea that needs to be preserved and protected. And somebody once said, America doesn't matter where you came from as much as where you're going. And I think that's an amazing journey we're on as a people. I love to speak at naturalization ceremonies, where people from all over the globe are there. They're becoming American citizens. And I always love to say, it is the honor of my life to be among the first to welcome you into our big American family. And our American family can sometimes fight over issues. That's all families do that. That's great. But boy, we're a unique people in a unique country. And sometimes it's okay to sit back and recognize that fact. So sorry to get kind of at the 80,000 feet view, but you got me philosophical. I'm out enjoying the sun. I'm outside with the sun on my face, and it's hard not to feel just exuberant on a day like this, despite all the pollen in the air.
Well, look, this is an institution of higher education. And again, we're political junkies, but also just junkies of news and the law and so forth. So our audience loves it. So you're right at home to definitely do that. But it's been a pleasure. It's always good talking with you. Always good talking with you.
Great to connect.
And for our listeners, to find out more about what you're doing, the Attorney General is doing, any breaking news, where can they go to, or where can they access that information? Yeah, go to
oag.state.va.us, oag.state.va.us. We have all sorts of things, job postings, information, and we have all sorts of things there. So just go there. We'll get more information, okay? You got it. That's Attorney General Jason Miyares. Thank you so much for joining us here on State of the Water. Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
What the Attorney General mentioned, he said this is something that Dr. King called the equality principle, a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. Dr. King stated that this was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed to enjoy the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Marvin, I think that was a great way to end our segment, because at the end of the day, we're a nation of laws. We're a nation of order. And we're a nation where we don't have to get along, but it's good to respect each other, respect each other's views, respect each other's religion, respect each other in everyday life. You know, when I go on my daily walks and runs, when I'm passing my neighbors who are walking on our path, I always greet them with a smile and a wave, because you just never know. It's that one smile and that wave that can make a heck of a difference in that day. And you hear the music, so that means that our time is done. We want to thank you all again for joining us here as we broadcast live on the campus of the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, at WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. For those of you that missed the broadcast, please go to our social media page, our YouTube page, to listen to the recording. Until next time, we'll see you next week. God bless and be well.